Here's a pretty horrific stat. Vancouver and Toronto have now outpaced New York as an unaffordable place to find a home. Let's get more from Hanif Bayat, CEO and founder of wawa.ca. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So that's amazing, isn't it? New York's been a byword for generations.
Yes.
Hard to find a place to live, but Toronto and Vancouver are worse.
Yeah, actually, Vancouver is the most unaffordable place in North America. When we studied the largest metro areas. So we studied 25 largest metro areas in Canada and the US. And Vancouver by far is the most unaffordable one, then Los Angeles, then Toronto, then San Diego. So you see that the top of three, two of them are Canadians.
It's interesting. California obviously shows up as well as an unaffordable place. You say part of this, though, is depressed wages in Vancouver and Toronto.
Yes, part of the wages that our economy is not the same as US. So the wages here is lower than the US. But one main aspect that has worsened is the price growth in Canada has been much faster than the US in the last 20 years. So the wage growth in Canada was kind of similar to the US, always has been lower than the US. But what has changed is that since 2005, the home price growth in Canada has been much faster than the US. So for example, if you have looked in 2005, actually the rank of Vancouver was the fourth most unaffordable city. Now it's the first one. What has changed is mostly the prices of the home that has increased significantly in Vancouver compared to the California cities.
On another front, you have warned that our economy, though, is too obsessed, too based on real estate. I know it's not a new theme, but really factories that export high-value goods would be a better way to invest money.
Yeah, that's a kind of funny thing. One of the reasons that the wages here are not high because we are depending on legacy industries. Why? It means banking, railroad, other things, insurance, is very different than the industries that are booming in the US, like technology, that they make very high-paying jobs. And one of the reasons that we have studied is that what percentage of the GDP goes to investment in IP, what percent of investment in GDP goes to investment in housing. And Canada is the first in the housing, among the G7 countries, and the second last in the IP. So because money should go somewhere, when it goes to the real estate and housing, there are not much left to goes to IP. And that makes a cycle that the salaries cannot grow much faster in Canada, because to grow the salaries in Canada, we need new industries, innovative industries that have, cutting edge things that, they can provide very high salaries. But when most of the industries rely on old industries, it's very hard to go very competitive salaries similar to the US.
Now, we hear that, rapid population growth is one of the problems, but you argue that, say, Texas and Florida have had massive population growth, but they haven't become unaffordable in the same way. So
this is what I always say, is the equation is very clear, supply and demand. And when it comes to demand, we have two kinds of demand. One is a speculative demand, one is the real demand. Okay, real demand is the population growth, and speculative demand is something that typically comes from monetary policy, that people go and invest in the housing. In Canada, most of the price growth actually was a speculative demand because of the monetary policies. The part that it comes from, the real population growth, actually Texas or Florida has higher population growth than Ontario in the last 20 years. BC has also one of the highest population growth. But one thing is that we notice if the supply is elastic enough, responsive enough, Texas, actually even doesn't matter that if the demand is speculative or real, the supply can answer it fast. If the builder can build the home fast, means there's not loss of bureaucracy or zoning restriction like Texas. You can see that even with the huge population growth that they had in Texas, because there are lots of internal migration happening in the US, it's very affordable. Means the population growth is not something that generate unaffordability. But when it combined with the zoning restriction, with the supply that is inelastic, yes, California and Ontario and BC.
It's a problem, though, isn't it? It's kind of a democratic deficit in the sense that people in Toronto vote for councillors who are in favour of restrictions on housing.
Yeah, that's a sad story. We have a kind of generational gap here. To be honest, one of the results of this unaffordability is generational gap between young and poor. And one of the reasons for that, again, is that because many people who vote are like the homeowners that who bought the homes long time ago, and they favor to keep their neighborhood quiet. But who pays the cost? The younger people who want to buy properties. So, like, that's a problem. Like, in the voting system, like, many older people prefer to restrict the zoning, but that, at end, the younger people are paying the cost for that, so.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a naughty one, and yeah, sometimes I wonder maybe just co-op housing or something, but the private sector is failing to deliver in this area.
I think if we make it supply responsive enough, sooner or later we can answer this problem.
Thanks very much indeed.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate it. And Hanif, just remind us very quickly, what is wawa.com? What do you do?
wawa.ca.
Oh, it's wawa.ca, sorry.
So we are a personal platform for Canadians. We have
Close to 500,000 unique users every month that they come to find real estate information, rate information, and simply know their option. So, for example, if they come to mortgage it, what are their options, credit cards, what are their options, and know what's happening in the market, in real estate, and everything, personal finance.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so that is Hanif Bayat, is the CEO and founder of wawa.ca.